Hello, everybody. Is that just the right volume? Welcome to the Intro to Computing author panel. My name is Donna Gridley. I'm an executive editor at Course Technology. I've been here for approximately 15 years, and I will be one of your moderators today. My co-moderator is my fellow executive editor, Marjorie Hunt, and she's in charge of the illustrated series. And I wanted to start off really quickly by saying, when Course Technology was founded in 1989, the mission statement that was created for the company was technology will transform the way people teach and learn. And never has that mission statement been more true than I think it is today. So it's a perfect segue into introducing our esteemed author panel. Marjorie and I are simply the muscle, they're the brains. So we'll ask some key questions. We'll ask some key questions to the author panel that we think are relevant to your concerns and needs and interests in the Intro to Computing course. We do only have about 40 minutes, so in the interest of time, we would prefer, for the most part, questions to be at the end, but we do want it to be participatory. So if you're dying to ask a question, please feel free to jump up. So if you want to start introducing your author team, and then I'll bring mine up.
Okay, we have a panel of 5 esteemed experts, authors, professors with us today. And so for the first one, we'll introduce Lisa Friedrichsen. Lisa is, come on up, Lisa. And Lisa is a professor at Johnson County Community College in Kansas, and also the author of our Access illustrated book. So welcome, Lisa, thank you. For our next panelist, we'll have Stephen Freund, Shelley Cashman author and professor at University of Central Florida.
Okay, and moving right along, we have June Parsons, former university instructor and owner of her own corporation, the Media Technics Corporation, and New Perspectives author as well. And then next we have Beverly Amer. She is at Northern Arizona University. She's authored concepts titles, soft skills titles, and she's a co-author on our Emerge with Computers product line with our next panelist, Ken Baldoff from Florida State University. Maybe some of you have seen Ken speak this week. And he is our co-author on the Emerge with Computers product line. So this is your panel.
Thank you.
So panel, do you have your microphone? Okay, great. So the first question that we started with is, how are we doing in preparing students with the skills and conceptual knowledge that they need to be digitally literate? What do we feel that we're doing well, and what are the biggest challenges? So I don't know if Ken, you want to start off the conversation?
We're setting the stage here.
Oh. There's a little... I'm sorry, we should have had it on for you. Here, use this one.
So in this question, who are the we that we're asking about? The publisher, the instructors, or the country?
I think we're all of the above. I think instructors is mainly what we were thinking about here, but certainly we want to know what publishers can do well. But right now, just, you know, what do you feel are your biggest, sort of setting the stage for us? Where are we now? You know, what's going well, and what are the biggest challenges we're dealing with now?
All right, I think there's a whole lot going on with the intro course, depending on what schools they're at. And I see a lot of teachers trying a lot of different things for the course. And at Florida State, we have a huge enrollment in our intro course, but our accreditors are actually requiring us to look at discipline-specific computer needs for the computer requirement. So we're examining, you know, what happens after the intro course. What types of more refined skills do students need to fulfill their computer needs in their future careers? But you know, there's all different ways to look at it. There's what we're teaching in the course, and there's also how we're teaching it. Right? Now the content is changing. People, you know, we'll have some questions that address that, I imagine. But also the way we're teaching the course is changing, right? We're teaching it online, we're using clickers, we're using cell phones and tablets. I know June talks a lot about using new technologies in the classroom as well. So I would look at it from those two areas, what we're teaching and how we're teaching it. And with that, I'll hand it off to Beverly.
Well, for us, the challenges are centering around retention and student success. We have a huge push to retain our students. So coming into our freshman level computer literacy class, which is a large enrollment freshman course at our university, liberal studies class, so students can take it as part of their general education, required for a number of majors on campus. We are being asked to figure out how to retain more of our students to help them become successful. So we are employing different strategies to do that. We have a blended environment right now, but we are also piloting a flipped class model, and we'll be rolling that out in the fall. I'm happy to talk with you offline about that if you're at all interested in more specific details, or maybe we'll have time during this panel, I'm not sure. But our focus has been on trying to increase retention, because if we can retain a student in their freshman year across all of our courses, then they will come back and be a successful sophomore, junior, senior, and eventual graduate. And that's what our Arizona Board of Regents is focusing on, more graduates. For us, they've set target numbers by the year 2020. We have to have 85% of our students graduating. We're at 71, 72% right now. And so that's very much on our radar.
Okay, I guess the question was, how are we doing? How are you doing? I think you're doing an awesome job. Let's take stock. What are we starting with? We have an intractable group of students. We have technology that's shifting under our feet. We have software that's constantly changing. We have budgets that are really tight. We have learned a whole new style of teaching online. We've done that within the last 5 years. So we are doing an awesome job. Now, can we do better? That's the question. Business and industry seems to think that we can. They're not really impressed with our students, some of them. And I guess I personally am not impressed with what I see in terms of our citizenry and our lawmakers being able to make reasonable decisions about technology in our lives. So I think we have a grand challenge in front of us, and I think that grand challenge for us is to promote technology as a valid, critical, crucial field of study for every educated person in America. I think that we should be able to say proudly, I teach technology. Just like somebody would say, I teach law, I teach English. I don't want to say, I teach computer concepts, I teach Office, I teach digital literacy. That sounds like something that we should be doing in elementary school. I want to say I teach technology, I teach big ideas about technology, I teach technology issues, and I teach students what they need to know about technology so they can make intelligent decisions about technology in their lives.
I work at the University of Central Florida, and we have several thousand, about 4,000 students annually going through our introductory computer courses. And one thing I've noticed over the years, it's been happening a lot more lately. Students aren't as motivated, they're not engaged. They come in with varying levels of knowledge, and addressing those students becomes a little bit more difficult for us. We have the students who come in there thinking they know everything about technology, and they don't want to take the course, and we of course have to, we face the challenge of showing them that we still do have important things. Do they know how to use their new tablets, their mobile devices to the best of their abilities? What can they do that they don't know? So I think we're all trying to do a great job at teaching students what they don't know about technology to give them a great experience in the course. So I think engagement is one of the big things, and of course, as my colleagues have said, budget is a huge problem these days. We're facing more students. We have several hundred students a semester in online classes. Whether all of them are equipped to take online classes, I don't think that's the case. But we're certainly doing the best we can, and I'm really excited about where the course is going, the new technologies, the new products that we're working on to help further students' understanding, or further their understanding of today's technologies.
Hi, I'm Lisa. I just have one quick thing to add, and I work at a very large community college too, so we have hundreds of students going through our intro classes as well. But a great idea that I actually got at this conference, and it's probably one of you, was that they make 2 copies of their the final outcomes that they want for their introductory course. And they use one of the copies, and they ask every student to take it before they start the course. And some students actually can then qualify for a waiver. But you know what? I think it was only 3%. And so that gave the students great motivation, because how can they know what they don't know? They know what they know very well, but they don't have an appreciation for what you're going to teach them, that business sense stuff, until you kind of light that light bulb for them. And I thought, wow, that's brilliant, an assessment test to help them get motivated to take that class. So that's my good tip I'm going to take home.
Great. Wonderful answers. Thank you, panelists, for that, for setting the stage. Let's see, for our next question, we only have a total of 4 questions, just to let you know. This is a more very specific question, but it's on everybody's mind right now, is Office 2013 and Office 365. I guess the question is, this is the first time that Office has a subscription-based model. And we're just wondering, what impact will this have on the intro course? And you can answer that however you like, but there's all kinds of issues here. Access to Office is one issue, as well as the cloudness of the cloudness. That's a new word.
That may not be a technical term.
The updating of Office. Maybe we'll never see another version of Office. Maybe there won't be 2015. Maybe you'll just have Office because you have the subscription to it. So, just wondering what you all think of what impact it's going to have on the intro course.
All right. Well, I'm lucky to go first. I think we should go the other way next time.
Yeah,
because
we can do that.
Reverse the microphone.
Okay, good, yeah. I'll keep it on this one, though. So there's lots to cover on this for everybody, I think. But, the subscription model is obviously a challenge, because I'm not sure, I've been publishing lessons in Google Docs for a while, and it's always a challenge, right? Because as soon as we release the publication on how to use Google Docs spreadsheets, they update it, without telling anybody what's going on. So that's certainly going to be a challenge for all of us and teachers as well. But I think what I'd like to cover about is the cloud aspect of it. I think it's important for us to start teaching our students how to use these cloud apps, and not just Microsoft's, but also Google apps, and show what you can do in the cloud that you can't do with the installed apps, and vice versa, to show the strengths of both platforms. And of course, the strength of cloud computing is the sharing aspect. So I think if we can add that to the intro course, talking about how to interact with people online, share documents, add comments to documents, maintain a calendar, share calendars, all this interactive things, that seems to be the next step in what we add to the course after we teach already the 2 years worth of information we're teaching in the course as it is right now. And I think that's another point, right? I mean, this course in the decade or more that I taught it, has grown and grown. The web came, we added that to it, and then sometimes we sacrifice databases. Do we keep database in the course? And now we're talking about Outlook. I agree with Corinne's statement yesterday that we should be teaching Outlook in this course and all this other stuff that goes online. I think really we're at the point where we can divide the class into 2 courses, an Office and Concepts course, and then an Applied Digital Technologies course of some sort.
I agree with what Ken said, but I also think we need to think about what our outcomes are for our students. What are we trying to help them achieve with our course, and which platform is going to be best for doing that? I can see the operational issues with a constantly updated product wreaking havoc with their textbook materials, not syncing. The images don't match, and you get those questions about, mine doesn't look like my screen. This book is different. So that has some, very real on-the-ground issues for us. But I think looking at the bigger picture of what is best for our students. Do we want them engaging in the cloud? Do we want them doing these things that they're going to be facing when they get out of our class and start working? That's going to help us at least think about which way we need to go.
Okay. It kind of seems like it would be a no-brainer with digital textbooks to update them when new versions of these cloud apps appear. Well, just to give you an example, okay, let's say that you're teaching PowerPoint and there's a feature in PowerPoint that changes slides into HTML. And it's the middle of the semester and Microsoft produces a new version and that feature is no longer in it. Okay. Well, okay, we can change the textbook that your students are going to look at, and we can take that feature out of it and replace it with, create videos instead. But you, as the instructor in the middle of the semester, may not know that that's happened. And suddenly you're in the class talking about creating HTML documents, and your students are looking at you like, what is going on? And not only is there a problem with that transition, but what about the test banks? There was a question in there about HTML. And what about the SAM projects that are doing HTML? So suddenly we find this structure that we've depended on falling apart. And I think that ultimately the solution to this is to take a very different approach to what we are teaching instead of teaching specific apps. Now, this may not apply to business courses where you need to teach a specific application, but in the general student population, I think we need to start thinking about teaching applications in a much more generic sense. Teaching word processing. I don't care what they're using. They can be using Word, they can be using something on the Mac, they can be using something on their tablet, OpenOffice, LibreOffice, whatever they're using. There should be features in there that the students can somehow figure out how to use with our guidance. So that, I guess, is what I see as our big challenge moving forward in this area.
And I agree with June 100%. We should be teaching students how to be able to determine when they have to use specific tools and then when to use features within those tools. So when is it a good idea to bold a cell in Microsoft Excel, or when might they need to create a new field in Microsoft Access or a database program for that matter? As far as, I guess the original question was about Office 365 and Office 2013, and one thing I like about Office 365 is that we have a better opportunity at getting Microsoft Office into more student hands. $99 for a year for 5 licenses, 5 different devices, I think is a really great price. In the past, I would have my students go to theultimatesteal.com. I don't know if any of you have ever used that, where they could buy Office at a reduced price. But now they have the opportunity to install it on 5 different devices. So, we can use Office as a tool to teach our students, but again, showing them how to use the features of word processing software, spreadsheet software, database, presentation software, even Microsoft Outlook, or an email program, contact management, is more and more important. It enhances opportunity or increases opportunity for critical thinking, knowing how to apply certain skills elsewhere. And as it is right now, if we're teaching Office 2013 or Office 2010, well, we'll say Office 2013 to our students today, by the time our college freshmen graduate, they might see another, or they probably will see another version of Microsoft Office. So we need to really teach them how to fish. We need to show them how to find what they need to find, tell them why they're doing things, do a better job of telling them why they're doing certain things so that they can apply it later on when they do see that new version of Office.
Well, I agree with all that, and pretty much. I just had one other thought to add. I think some content works really well printed, and some can go electronic, and then there's different ways it can go electronic. Personally, I'm really intrigued with videos and YouTubes, and I'm really trying to wrap my brain around what content can go that direction, because it's fun to watch and it's easy and you can get a lot of content in there very, very quickly. But, you know, I was just sitting here listening. I mean, even I have my program in my hand. There's still something about a printed program. I just love the feel of it, and the bandwidth is great and everything. So there's some content like the projects that are described more generically that aren't so version specific that I think will still work really great in print for some time. You know, just practically, if you're going to go electronic with your screen, with your textbook, you have to have 2 screens. And so my students that bring in their laptops with their e-books and then their monitors, because most of our labs don't have 2 screens. So that's just kind of a physical requirement to go more digital. But I think the burden on what content is best in what medium is on Cengage's shoulders, and they'll figure it out.
Actually, why don't you keep the microphone, because we're going to reverse the order now.
Okay.
So you get to go first for the next one. I don't have my glasses.
Oh. Okay. There you go. We're on number 3.
So this one's a little lengthy, so you have to stay with us. So there's an increasing pressure, some of this has been peripherally discussed. There's an increasing pressure to ensure learning outcomes for all students who enroll in the intro course. Students coming into this course, as Beverly pointed out earlier, have a wide variety of skills and comfort level with technology. So does the intro course need to evolve to address these needs and challenges? And what can schools and instructors do to ensure the learning outcomes for all students?
Well, I'll just repeat my first answer. I really like the idea of assessing them coming in on the exact same things you're going to assess them going out. And I think that'll be enormously sort of uncomfortable when they don't assess well in the beginning. But what a victory they'll have when they assess well at the end. So I'm very intrigued with that idea and trying to find the right technology to do that, which I think will enormously make my administrative people happy because I'll have all this hard data to share with them, and hopefully it'll go well with the students too, but I'm looking forward to trying that.
I'm going to make a pretty bold statement and say I feel that we should have or schools might need to develop a remedial course to get students who aren't necessarily up to speed with technologies such as email and web and some basic features in Office programs, so that when they come to our course, they're ready to take the course and you know, learn what we have to teach them. You know, and we can assess the students at the beginning of our course and see if they know what we need them to know and take it from there, or if they know more than we think they know, and we maybe adjust their learning path at that point. So, you know, I kind of see the possibility for having 2 different courses, the remedial course and then our digital literacy course, or whatever we want to call it, so that we can make sure every student's on the same page, because right now we have to help the students who aren't up to where they need to be, and then we have the students who get bored while we're helping those students get up to speed. So we don't have, at University of Central Florida, we don't have a way for them to test out of the course, but a community college down the street has a way for them to test out of the same exact course number, so they can go to the community college, test out, and you know, it just doesn't look good for us because there's always stuff for them to learn. There are always things for them to learn in the field of in the world of technology, and we need every student in our classroom, just like they were, you know, years ago when they didn't really have computers at home and that sort of thing. So that's about all I have to say about that.
Okay. I think it may be okay if some of our students fail, and I think we might have to accept that. Let's just take a step back, way back to the days of the McGuffey reader, okay? And we had learners learning from books that were printed, and they were black and white, and they were textbooks in every sense of the word, textbooks, okay? Now, things have progressed, right? And we have textbooks that are color. In fact, I think New Perspectives was one of the first textbooks that was in 4 colors in this area. Yeah, I think it was. And we added a photo on every page. And we added videos, and we added interactive computer-scored stuff, and the SAM assessment, and interactive labs, and man, we got all this stuff, but still, I think we have this feeling, man, that students are less engaged than students in the old days who had this black and white printed piece of paper in front of them. So I think we have this nervous feeling that something is off. And it's kind of the same off that we have about, I saw this study the other day, the federal government was funding a study on hunger and obesity in our children. Now, that's an oxymoron. But, you know, we're kind of enabling this obesity thing that people are talking about. I don't know if it's even real, but we're kind of enabling that with all this junk food that we're throwing at kids. And I'm wondering if technology-wise we are also enabling our students by throwing all this technology at them, some technology that maybe is not relevant. And our acceptance of their sitting in class and using their iPhones and iPods and playing solitaire while we're lecturing, that's not very mindful. So are we throwing at our students the digital equivalent of Cheetos? I mean, is this technology Cheetos that we're giving them? I think we have to think about that. You know, I think we have another challenge here with our students to think about how we get them to be engaged learners and how we get them to think about learning as something that is cool, something that they need to do, something that when they do it, they join the club of people who know things that can benefit themselves and benefit other people. So another grand challenge for us.
Technology Cheetos. We're all going to leave with that one, aren't we? That's great. That's great. I'm intrigued by the idea of a remedial course, but I'd rather call it like a tech boot camp, because you know, remediation sounds like you're stupid, you know. And well, my question is, how will we know who needs to take that class? Do we run everybody through it? Yeah. Well, we'd have to have a pretest, right? Yep. We've got to have some sort of a pretest to determine whether you take boot camp or you go right into the course. But we tried actually a number of years ago offering the CLEP test because we had students coming in, like Stephen said, thinking they know everything about computers. Why do I have to take this class? So I said, well, let's offer the CLEP. You know, it's a standardized norm test. It's validated. That surely will help us determine. And if they can pass the CLEP, I'm happy to pass them through the class. No problem. You know how many students passed? 1 out of 100, 1%. Because they thought they knew technology, and then the test revealed to them very much how much they didn't know. So we stopped offering it because it cost the students money, and they were getting frustrated having to pay the fee to take the test, and then they didn't pass, and then they had to pay the fee to take our class. So I'm interested in all of the discussion we're having about customized learning paths, testing, you know, the SAM challenge, and all the different ways that we can help customize but get our students to the same outcome. And that is, whatever our outcomes are in our course, getting our students all there. So that's, I think, fascinating for us to think about.
Yeah, and I would agree with everything they said. I like going last. It's good. We'll put it back there.
Just start in the middle with the next.
No, but I know how you feel. Everything you guys said was what I was going to say. So
That's why we switched the microphone order.
there you go. No, but the assessment, I think, is huge, and we did have a test, a computer literacy test at FSU for a while, and our accreditation agency, SACS, would not allow us to provide students with credit for computer literacy through testing, and so that did away with our test. But I think that testing has to, and that might have changed, because that was 10 years ago that we went through that. We need to check. And you're testing out for the requirement? Well, that's good. But I think it needs to be on an institution level rather than at a department level where the tests take place. So it's not just for students to get your course, but for them to see what all their weaknesses are, and they can select the courses that they need from that. And there is this tendency of, well, all of us as teachers have been expecting the computer literacy course to be pushed down into high school and middle school, right? And I've been anticipating that day, you know, for years now. And my philosophy has been always that college is for preparing students for their careers. I mean, they take math in high school and middle school, and yet the math they take in college should be applied towards their careers. So no matter what happens with the literacy course down, you know, upstream from us, when the students come to us, We need to show them how to use computers for what they're going to be doing for the rest of their life, type of thing. So I don't think computer literacy will go away. We call it computer fluency at FSU now, and we can reframe it. And I like your idea about the digital boot camp. I think that's really important. We don't need to cater to the student who's never used the computer before. We can kind of provide them with additional training. So that's all I would add to that.
Okay. All right, so now for our fourth and final question, and then we'll open it up to your questions. A little bit of a long question here, but we're in the middle of a digital transformation. Students have mobile devices, and we're seeing a spike in our digital solutions like SAM and CourseMate and Emerge with computers and all our digital solutions. First part of the question is, how does the instructor's role need to evolve in this digital landscape in order to ensure the success of both instructors and students? And then the part two question we're all very interested in is, what do publishers need to do or provide in this changing instructional world? So who would like the first question? We'll open it up to whoever would like to start. June.
I think this is a question that you all should answer, really, right? I mean, what is it that you need? What do you need?
We can do that.
Yeah. Okay, we have done a lot. We have, as I opened this by saying that we have done a lot, and we're doing an awesome job. We have a lot yet to do, and I think you know what it is that you need to do. So, in terms of learning and keeping up with our skills, maybe you need more support like this kind of gathering where you pick up ideas and share ideas with your colleagues. Our keynote today, our keynote speaker said that we need constant contact with real people, not just with people through our technology devices. So I think maybe this is something that's important for us to pursue, and maybe the publisher can help people get together in additional ways.
That's fine. I think instructors nowadays will be able to do, with all the digital products out there right now, instructors nowadays are able to keep better tabs on how students are performing in the class, where they're getting hung up, what they're mastering, what to spend time on in the classroom. And we also see almost every student walking around with a mobile device of some sort. It could be a smartphone, it could be a tablet, it could be a laptop, but the days of students sitting in the library on a computer or at home on a computer for hours on end are just about over. UCF, for example, got rid of many computer labs on campus, and they have these areas that facilitate a lot more collaboration, group work, that sort of thing, fewer computers because they know the students already have them in hand. So anything Cengage Learning can do to allow students to learn wherever they are. If they're waiting for the bus and they have their cell phone and there's an engaging way for them to learn material for the course, I think that's what students are looking for. We have to engage them, we have to capture their attention, and we have to do it on the platform they're using. And with every student walking around with a smartphone or tablet or laptop, I mean, that's the key. Let's get to them using their device, whatever they're using, and make sure it's compatible.
Well, with all this pressure on assessments, this is hard on us and on Cengage because it's such a touchy subject for the students. Anytime you do something digitally that has anything to do with their grade, that is really a sensitive area. So both as a teacher and an author, you try and make that just really rock solid. I still use ExamView. It's kind of a low-tech solution, but I can rip off multiple choice questions. I write all the questions for my own books in that particular area. I don't do all my supplements, but I do that one because I know how sensitive it is. And I want those questions to be as good as possible. That's what I would say to Cengage, is that whatever assessment tool we have, it doesn't necessarily have to be the be-all, end-all, but whatever we have, it has to be rock solid. It has to be high quality, because that's the last thing I want to be as an instructor, is be embarrassed or be spending more time on the technology than on the teaching. So I think we're all hesitant to, adopt things. I mean, if it works, and it works great, we're all in. But it's got to be good, it's got to be high quality, and that's what I would like us all just to focus on, is just try and hit what we really need in a very high quality way, instead of stretching for exotic answers that maybe are A to Z, but if it doesn't work, I'm not going to adopt it. So those are my thoughts.
Could I throw one other twist into this? Because since I've come to the conference, I've heard an awful lot about the flipped classroom. And so I'm curious, I guess, just to throw that angle in too, not to throw you last two off, but maybe an opportunity to talk about that. We've heard about how that's so important, and what do we need to do in our products to help you in the flipped classroom?
Well, this is great, because I actually am pilot testing a flipped classroom model right now, so I guess this was meant to be that I end up with a microphone.
And I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so there we go. Well, let me just start with an observation. I think all of us that are attending the conference are the thought leaders on our campuses. We are engaged in trying to find solutions that best help our students. So you are the leaders. You were in the session this morning listening to our speaker. Did you look around and see how many people were looking at their phones, had their laptops open, and right? So we're like our students, are we not? Right? Yeah, we'll sit in a meeting and we pull out our phone and we look at it. The statistic is that we look at our phones about every 9 minutes. Every 9 minutes, 150 times a day. And so, I share this with my students. So I stopped the battle of put your cell phone away, you can't look at it for 75 minutes until after class. I quit that battle because I was losing it every class. We have a flipped model now where I don't lecture anymore. The students have an out-of-class information gathering assignment every week. And isn't that what we do in real life? We're given a problem, we have to information gather. They have to take notes on it, do a quiz on their own outside of class time, and then come to class with their notes. We have current events, and they can pull out their phone at that time and be checking the latest current event that relates to the current event I'm talking about. They have a group project that they work where they can pull out their phone or their iPad or their laptop and do research around a topic and then report back to the class because it relates to what we're doing in class that day. And then they've got a group quiz where they use their notes and they discuss what information gathered outside of class and bring to the class. So when we flip, how many of you are familiar with what flipped means? Okay, all right, so we have an educated group, as I suspected. I'm not the information deliverer and controller. I'm not the gate anymore. I am simply guiding or coaching the information gathering, the problem solving, and giving them meaningful exercises to help them apply that in class. So does that help, Marjorie? Is that where you wanted to go?
It does,
okay,
thank you.
Great. And I know Ken can also add to this, so I'm going to hand the mic off and stop talking.
Oh, perfect. Well, I think in dealing with the uber-connected generation that we're teaching now, as teachers, we need to stop being the deliverer of information and teach students how to find the information that exists online as much as possible. I mean, if you can teach them, as far as Microsoft Office goes, using Office Help to find solutions, and not because my tutorials aren't going to be available to you for the rest of your life. So I would say that, being the guide from the side and all of these types of slogans. And it's hard to do, but as publishers, providing us with the resources for that. And I think as publishers, the whole publishing model needs to adapt to be much more fluid. And I know that's hard.
Like a subscription model, perhaps, like Microsoft?
Yeah, there you go. Maybe so. I mean, it may come down to that. But certainly the relevance of what we teach is what's happening today. It's not about what happened a year ago when the book was published, right? And so anything you can do to feed that information and to support students in discussions around those topics, I think are key to the intro course.
That's great, thank you. Okay, so we've come to the end of our questions, and we'd like to open it up. We already have a hand shooting up, so Donna, do you want to take the microphone?
I'm Robert Nichols with the College of DuPage, and I guess as we look through the different things that have been said, or even the conferences that I've attended, the sessions, I think back to when I was in school and we had like the SRA reading, and people were on different levels in the class. They had a main objective that everyone had to get to as far as the goal was concerned, and you strive to reach that goal so you could get to different groups. I think we're all in agreement that everyone is not on the same page as far as technology is concerned, including myself. In my class, some of the times the students will tell me some things about things that I don't even know. So my suggestion would be, why is it we can't face the fact that everyone is not going to always end up at the same place in technology? They come in at various levels. Why can't we have our learning objectives as the basis, and we work to let those that don't meet the basis get there, and those that do, let them exceed and go beyond that? Why do we have to? I know it's easier to make sure that everybody in the class learns the exact same thing. They start the same way, they end the same way, and we expect everybody to do that. It's not going to happen. If we were able to fix the Intro to Computer course where the persons can come in wherever they are, at least make sure that they all get to the minimum objectives, which would be our learning outcomes, and fix projects or reports or group item activities where they can excel and learn the things that they need beyond what they already know. I know PCs, I don't know Mac, so if we had classes where, okay, well, I know the PC version, let me try the Mac version, and actually make it worthwhile so that everyone will benefit from taking such a course.
Isn't that A, B, C? Isn't that what that is? You get a C if you meet the minimum, and you get an A if you exceed?
One of the ways that we're trying to address some of that is we have all of our projects and assignments open from day one, and we let the student know you can work ahead as much as you want and get that done early, take that test early, it's open, you can finish it at your own pace. What we find is that they tend to follow our schedule, right? I've laid out a calendar, they follow my pacing, they have to have it done by this date. I find a flurry of activity the last 2 days or the day before or at 10 p.m. the night it's due, right? But think about that, how many of us work that way? You know, we may have projects where we wait till the last minute. So, I mean, you know, we have the same behaviors. So, anyway, you've got a great question, I'm sure.
I have just a practical question on 365. Have you experienced enough to know how often do the major changes come, and how much information do you get on those changes before they actually happen?
I don't think Microsoft's made that available yet at this point. They've just established the model, but not a calendar from what I've understood. And
But
also,
let's be realistic, though. I mean, do you think that they're going to do, I mean, it would kind of get out of hand if they did just wildly crazy new things, because I think they're going to do things that enhance the experience without disrupting it, is what common sense would tell you, and what I kind of understand just from what I've read. Is that? Right. Well, I think maybe there'll be more templates or more, you know, more themes in Office, that kind of thing. But
another question in back?
Yeah, with the, whether you call it splintering or re-chunkification of the content, I think for me, one of the biggest challenges is finding the content that I need. So it's about the learning objectives. And until the content is made available and the resources made available based on the learning objectives, it's going to be, our job is going to continue to be overly burdensome. So all the learning resources, whether it's assessment, pre-assessment activities, you know, the content, all geared and tied down to learning objectives. So thoughts on that? I mean, that, to me, that's kind of keep beating the drum but waiting for somebody to say, yeah, Well, because I haven't heard anything from any of the publishers that say there wasn't anything in the opening session about learning objectives. But if you look at all of our courses, the first thing that we have to do when we make a course proposal is decide on the learning objectives. They're in the beginning of the chapter, but we don't really have any way of being able to access or control what we're seeing based on learning objectives.
Any comments?
Yeah.
Did you have a comment?
Anyone want to take it?
I mean,
I think we do have access to work with learning objectives.
Not at the granularity that we were, not the granularity that we were. I'm talking about beyond.
so
Okay, here's the internet chapter, here's the, not at that broad level. I want one or two levels below that.
Okay, we use a Cengage customized book where we have rearranged chapters and sessions, and we actually use portions from about 3 different books
Yeah.
along the way. And we were able to customize our book, I think, so that we figured out what we wanted them to learn and then pulled in several different resources from several different places to try to meet those objectives. So we were real happy with that.
Yeah, just to elaborate what the gentleman back here was talking about, we use a customized book, and I love it. It's the it's the New Perspectives first course. But when we go back to objectives, for example, one of the major objectives we have is to teach the students how to do MLA formatting and do a scholarly research paper. And one of the things, for example, that the students, specifically in the course objectives, it states that they need to do things that involve inserting figures and charts and then doing, a table of charts at the end. And so I really love the unit on, MLA formatting, but it doesn't include those specific things that we were asked to include in the course.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's just really an example of maybe a concrete example of what the gentleman back here was talking about. So one of the challenges that I have, because I'm the coordinator for the program, is to how to then provide all the instructors who are teaching that unit with the supplemental information that they need to, so that the students can learn those skills. So if anybody has any suggestions on that afterwards, please see me. I'm Jen.
I would like, I don't want to, we are doing this in many ways, behind the scenes, and what we're doing. SAM is all based on objectives. So, and the way we've designed our products this year is, we came up with the list of objectives, and we basically built our books around these objectives. So they're all in there. And in some cases, they are very accessible to the instructor and students. I'll just speak for Illustrated, because I'm the Illustrated editor. Actually, at the beginning of for every 2-page lesson, we list the learning outcomes, and then we also provide to the instructor a learning outcomes map that tells you where every learning outcome is assessed in the in the materials and in SAM. So that's something you might want to just be aware of.
So
But
maybe there's a SAM skill, but I'm not aware of
doing
one
it.
that covers that.
Oh. So I think we do hear that message, and we've tried to do that with SAM 2013 and our products as well. Yeah, no,
So
it's excellent feedback, though. Thank you.
I just wanted to jump in for a second. This gentleman would like to clarify a point, and I know we have a couple of questions,
Yeah,
but
and
we're
it is-
eating into your break time.
Yeah, it is time to
so-
end, too, so.
Okay.
I'll keep this quick, but for example, I like the exam view test banks and things like that. If you've got 100 multiple choice questions, I would like to know which 5 are dealing with this learning objective, which 6 are dealing with this one. So I want them arranged in some kind of a, folderized by learning objective. Then I know that I'm got the coverage.
You're singing my song. We
That's
are
what I'm
doing
talking about.
that granulation, at least in the Illustrated series. I'm not sure about the other series, but so that it goes 360, not 365, but 360 from objective to teaching to assessment, so you can have the outcomes that you want to teach and then assess on those specific outcomes. And that's quite a grid by the time you cross-reference it to the end-of-unit material, the exam view, objective test bank, SAM, mouse certifications. So we're cross-referencing that. You're going to get a jumbo grid that takes that learning outcome clear through the assessments. You're going to like it. I'm working hard on it.
Okay.
Well, thank you, everybody, for an excellent
Thank you,
session.
panelists.
Thank you to our author panel. We appreciate your time.